This one's going to be a long one, I'll be honest with you. It's 100 pages, so if you've got something else to do and you want to just listen to this in the background, I'd probably recommend that. Also, I should probably just say I haven't read chapter 90. I know it's out, I haven't touched it, which has been annoying because I've been waiting for time to review this and I want to read it because I hope it's good, because this one was good. What was this one, Matt? Well, this one was One Punch Man, chapter 89, Hot Pot. It was a great setup chapter, really, and had some funny moments, and I think just very important for what's coming up. And it could, well, I imagine there'll be something for about season 2 soon, but this chapter could be a really good point to end season 2 at, I think. I'll go into that another day, but that's just the general thought I had. In any case, let's get on with this as soon as I change the battery on this camera. Okay then, so the chapter starts off with King and Genos, surprisingly, and King is playing a game and Genos is watching very intently at what King is doing, trying to learn everything he can from him, and I found this confusing until Genos spoke up, because King's like, there you go, I 100% the game, is that what you wanted to see? Genos has this moment to himself, where he says, I can't believe this is how Master Saitama and King communicate with each other in these mental battles they have. I'm not ready to be at their level and I have a long way to go. Now, at first, I suppose to a lot of people, depending on what you knew, I don't know if Saitama's mentioned this in the past, but this was quite a big moment for me from the start, because it made me realise that Genos doesn't know the truth about King. And I suppose that makes a lot of sense, because now that I think about it, because obviously, first of all, Saitama isn't really like he isn't like a gossiper. He's not going to go, Genos, listen to this information I found out today. King is the one who took all of my responsibility, like, who took away all the credit from me. And of course, Saitama doesn't care about that, but Genos cares a lot about Saitama. So if he learns that this man is not only weak, but he's the reason his beloved sensei is not getting any of the credit that he is due, he's not going to be happy, and I hope this kind of comes up in the future. One of two ways. Either if King, whenever the truth about Saitama's strength is becoming more and more well known, and King speaks up and goes, I didn't do any of these feats, it's all him. The reason you're alive today is because of this guy. And when it all comes out, seeing how Genos is going to react to King, I hope will be great. I hope it's like bombshell after bombshell after bombshell. That sounds like it could be really interesting though, especially seeing how their future interactions happen. And so after this, they're all just kind of talking, and they all realise separately, well, they're all just talking about where Saitama's gone, and you know, eventually they kind of come to this conclusion that, oh, you know, Saitama I can't see losing to anyone, but if he fell into any sort of trap, and they all just kind of separately all go quiet, and it's just this funny moment where they all realise, if he's gone, we are screwed. We do not have a chance. And that's just a great moment, and even like the panel goes dark, and then Saitama presses the bell like, ding dong, I'm home, and then everyone's just like, it all lights up, and everyone's like, oh my god, he's back, thank god. It's just this moment they're like, we are done for if he is for any reason, and it's true, they are, if for any reason he can't make to the fight, if he can't show up, which of course he will, because especially with all the foreshadowing of Saitama vs Garo, I think obviously it makes it pretty clear that Saitama is going to show up to the fight, but it's just, I like that people actually acknowledge, and these are quite powerful people as well, like, the strong realise how strong Saitama is, and whenever there's a moment like that, I'm like, yay! So Saitama comes home, and he's bloody and beaten from monsters, and I know, and this didn't happen, but could you imagine how great it would be if throughout this chapter they slowly revealed that he defeated Bug God and Royal Ripper off screen? That'd just be like, oh, there's a lot of monsters in the area, isn't there? And then it's just covered in blood, and everyone's like, did you have some mighty battle? And then Saitama was of course like, no, they're just a lot of monsters, like there's a lot more than they usually are. So two things, I think that would have been really good. Obviously they didn't do that, and I don't have a problem with that, because I think that's more setting up a rematch between Garo and Royal Ripper and Bug God. But at the same time, how great it would have been is if he's like, oh, they're just casual monsters, but of course to any normal person, they are demon level threat monsters. I just think that's really, I think that would have been a funny way to take it. They didn't take it that way, that's absolutely fine. Is the mic on? Yes, cool. In any case, he comes back and he's ridden with guilt and sorrow, and everyone's really worried for him, and I try and believe in him. I try and believe in him so much that he's gonna do something deep and meaningful. Throughout this whole chapter, I'm like, maybe he's gonna have a meaningful moment here and there, because he can have those. He has had those. It just, when he's like, I am in crisis, and then I was like, did you meet Garo? And he did, but it's just this moment, it's like, I dropped my wallet, it had about $60 in there. That's a lot of money, but I suppose that's what I love about Saitama as well, because like I said, I like how relatable he is. Like, a relatable thing for me is like, if I lose money, that's a big problem in my life. I get the pain, I get it, Saitama, I get your emotions. That's why I relate to him, that's why I like you, and that's just another small thing. I suppose when his biggest problems aren't like the world's in jeopardy, but he loses his wallet and it has $60, that's a lot. I know it was 6,000 yen, I'm just saying $60 to make it easier. That's a lot of money for just an average person to lose, and his wallet as well. And he left the cabbage, and like it's like this big shock to him. And Genos is so caught up in his world, of course, already. He's like, Master Saitama, no, this is an outrage. And then Bang and Bomb are just like, you got like the different degrees. King's still kind of like, what? Like he's kind of in between Bang and Genos level, I suppose. Now he's like, okay, I guess I kind of get that problem. Bang's just like, is that all it was? Oh, that's nothing, don't worry about it. He's like, no, that's a big deal. And then Bomb's just like, what is going on? And it's just great. It's just funny. And then just the icing on the cake gave us Fubuki's best entrance. It was her, like, she might have a much more epic entrance in, like, you know, in the coming arc, like, maybe there'll be a fight and then all of a sudden everything will stop and she'll arrive. She's like, good thing I came in just in time. The Blizzard group will be behind her and she'll save a few people. That'd be cool, but not her best entrance, which is just her giving this glare, just this stare down to, like, just, oh, the ice. Like, no wonder she's Blizzard. The icy stare, the cold stare as she came in. She's like, well, you seem to be having fun, don't you? She's got his cabbage, and then it was just the way Saito was like, oh, hey Fubuki, thanks for giving me my cabbage. Oh, it was good. So we start off with, in the Monster Association, dealing with Royal Ripper and Bug God reporting back to Gyoro Gyoro. And I think what was really, I suppose, good about this part was, I suppose, looking at it, Gyoro Gyoro doesn't seem to believe Royal Ripper and Bug God a lot. Because obviously Royal Ripper was lying at first and was like, oh no, he just suddenly turned on us, it was a shame. And he was like, cut the crap, he's not good at lying, what actually happened? And Bug God speaks up and he's like, you know, he turned on us, like, and it's very true what he said about Garo, is that, you know, he doesn't have this, he isn't showing this monster side to him, like, he's still got a foot firmly planted in his side of humanity, and he's refusing to kill people, which, like I've said before, is true. Until Garo kills someone, he can't really cross the line and become a monster. So, but I have to at least say, Gyoro Gyoro doesn't seem to believe them. Well, because he keeps going like, how strong was he? Did he really die? And he asks a lot of questions like that. I wouldn't be surprised if Gyoro's like, I knew he wouldn't die. He obviously has high hopes for Garo because he wants to make him into the second next month. He wants to make him into the next Monster King. So if he thinks he's just going to die here, he can't see that happening. Is the mic on? Different day, guys. And Tara's in tears, of course, because he just remembers Garo's lifeless body and he can't do anything. And then Gyoro wants to see why Tara's here. He's like, oh no, extra hostages, am I right? Basically what Royal Ripper says, like, just take care of him now. Royal Ripper has like this vile moment, I suppose. He's like, oh no, I'm going to take my time with this one. Right? It's all blown over. I'm going to make him squeal. And it's like that panel was good. It was quite a terrifying panel, but I think that just really sets up, you know, Garo's going to show up. Because as we know, Garo survives, but I think the three kind of main fights he has to have at this point are with Sludge Jellyfish, Royal Ripper, and Bug God. Because, well, let's just talk about Royal Ripper and Bug God and then Sludge Jellyfish. So, Royal Ripper, I think, it's definitely a fight he can take. And I think it's one of these fights where Royal Ripper is looking down, and like, she's got the attack and the speed on him, but Garo is just so much more. Like, no, let me rephrase that. She doesn't have attack and speed on. Like, she's a very attack and speed focused fighter, right? But Royal Ripper, but compared to Garo, who's taken on multiple S-class heroes, it's not a fair fight. Well, we'll see how it goes. I don't know how much damage he'd take, but still, in any case. And I think that was mostly it. Yes. Also, Gyoro makes the note of, you know, we don't have time to mess around because the monsters, they found this tracker, and it's, like I said, by the Hero Association. We find out it's called Doggy Digger. I think that's a great name. And basically the battle is soon, and I think this is just the story's way of telling us there isn't going to be too much more. They've done enough build-up. The fight is going to begin very soon between the Hero Association and the Monster Association, and I don't know, it might start in Chapter 90. I don't have a clue. I haven't read chapter 19. Maybe I should have got this out on time then, but it was very busy this week. I'm sorry. Yeah, so I do like that they just drop it in the story like that. And I love this chapter in the Monster Association. It's basically setting up for us who our opponents are going to be, like the main fighters we're going to see. There's going to be other people there, of course, as we've seen, but the main ones to watch out for. So, it cuts off to... Let me double check something first. One thing to know about Goro's strength is, despite the fact that Royal Ripper is a bit of a liar, and you know she likes to tease people and she likes to save her pain, she at least admits, like, oh no, I'm surprised. I can see why you sent me and Bug God because he's strong enough. Oh yeah, I should probably talk about why Bug God. Obviously because Bug God's part of the partnership, and I'd like to see what Bug God can do apart from just having that super hard shell. Maybe that's pretty much what he is, just a giant bug man. But I would like to think he's got a little bit more to him. I don't know what though. We'll see, but that'll be kind of like Goro's next step in evolution, because like his last big step in evolution was when Death Gatling shot his Gatling gun out and he deflected all the bullets. And actually no, after that even, when he was fighting Bang and Balm and Genos, and he picked up the tree and swung it, and he was like, I'm not dying here. That was a big step. His next big step, to me, I imagine it's probably going to be when he can smash through Bug God's shell. That's probably going to be his next moment. And that's going to be him getting closer and closer to his monster form. In any case, we see a bunch of monsters, and we see the two who fought, I can't remember their names, pop them down below, who fought Lightning Genji, the electric monsters, and they talk about how good matchups are, which is entirely true. Matchups are very important in fights, pretty much against anyone except for Saitama. It's important to match up with properly, and I might have been spoiled for something, I don't know. Well, or maybe not, I don't know, I've got some ideas, but it's only because when they talk, then the original translation I read, they mentioned a character called Psychos who picks up these little information, basically who decides matchups. But in the second translation, the better one I read, they mentioned Gyoro? So, maybe, I don't know, there's something about this Psychos character. Maybe Psychos is like Gyoro's assistant, maybe, because I was thinking, like, what if it's another tactician? But it doesn't make sense to have two tacticians, like, going through two strategies, and Gyoro has very much made it clear that he's pretty much the brains behind the Monster Association. So, maybe there's another monster called Psychos. That's the only thing I can really think of. If Psychos is, like, his assistant, I'm not 100% on that, though. Just because with any kind of main players, we met most of the main players in this chapter, and I can't imagine them hiding anyone else at this point. So, a little confused about that one. Let's wait and see. But in any case, these monsters are talking about how important matchups are, and you know, even if you match up correctly, you can defeat someone like an A-class hero, or even if you're extremely lucky, an S-class hero, and they're all just talking about these like different posts, like, oh, I can't wait, I'll get him to match me up with someone good, and then you cut to, and then nonsense, boom, boom, and then we see Rhino Wrestler, who's talking about how he just wants a good fight, and how he wants to face someone strong. Now, I don't know who those two would fight, Lightning Genji's opponents would, but Rhino Wrestler, I mean, he could fight a lot of people, he could fight any of the S-class heroes and get whooped. I would personally like him to see him fight Saitama. If he's purposely kept on the sidelines, he's like, this is my opponent, I can't wait any longer, I've just got to fight this guy, and then Saitama was like, oh, that would be good. So, like I said, the main point of this is to introduce us who the main combatants of the Monster Association are. And they just really want to emphasize how strong that they really are. Because these are all their demon level threats are what we see. So, we see those two. We see Rhino Wrestler. And then I think it is... Let me check. And then after this, we see Phoenix Man. Now, after Phoenix Man has learnt the truth about Orochi and how he became the King of Monsters, how he was a human, Phoenix Man is now starting to get ideas that maybe he could become the next... King of Monsters. The King of Monsters, Phoenix Man. And I wonder how he thinks he's going to do this. Because, like I said, we haven't seen any of Phoenix Man's abilities. And I don't know what it would be. Like, I keep saying either fire or regeneration. If he's after fights that he thinks he's going to come out of, regeneration would be the ideal one for him, because if he can come back and then just keep going at them, then that would be how he could grow as a monster in battle. And unless he literally asks your Lord Gyoro, make me into the next monster, then there has to be certain attributes to that too. But at the same time, Obviously Phoenix Man, we don't know the extent of Phoenix Man's strength, but Goro must have a strategy, like a formula on how to make people into monsters. So he's obviously saw something in the human that became Orochi to turn them into a monster. Just like he's seen something in Garo that he sees a formula to turn them into a monster of that degree. So he can't see, so it's not everyone who can become a monster of that degree, but at the very least it's I just think, well, there'll be just this moment where he might just go, Goro, make me into a monster king, and Goro's gonna go, no, you can't do it. Maybe it's something you have to work at as a human, because it's that initial monster transformation that makes it. So maybe, so like for example, I can't remember his name. He used to be called Beefcake. I never can remember his name. Put it down below, Matt. The giant from chapter 2, or the first episode. The Brain and Brawn Brothers guy. Like, it took, obviously he swigged a steroid as well, but it was like some kind of scientific drug, but at the same time, he also was, I'm trying to think what to say, give me a sec. But at the same time, he was also obsessed with becoming the strongest man, and his transformation into a monster was ginormous. Like, he wanted strength beyond belief, so he became a massive monster, a massive giant who makes cities look tiny in comparison to him. So maybe it's to do with that initial drive of what people want. Like, I suppose if you look at it, like, people want strength, like true, like if you're decently strong as it is and you want strength even further, you become quite a powerful monster. Of course that makes sense because obviously it's your monster strength based on before, but I mean, you look at him, he was super muscly beforehand, and then you've got someone like Goketsu as well, who was the winner of the first ever Super Fight tournament, so he was quite strong to begin with already, but then he became a giant monster. So I think if we have to look at it like that, it would be possible that maybe they were a top class, maybe they were like a top class warrior from before, stronger than Goketsu. So that's kind of why I keep going back to Blast as possibly being Monster King Orochi, but I don't think it would be, only because of the amount they've built up Blast, and they're like, and if he just suddenly went, oh, by the way, he's not here, he's Monster King, and Saitama ends up just bopping him, or getting some kind of decent fight with him, I just can't see it happening. But in any case, I can't see Phoenix Man becoming a Monster King. I'm sure he'll get taken down before then. I don't know by who, but I hope he gets a good fight, and I hope he becomes a bit crazy with power. That would be interesting to see as well. Yeah, nice. So then we go on to Super S and her loyal minions. And this isn't too much I have to talk about for her, because she's basically still got them under her control. Who knows if there's a way to get them away from her control? So, for example, if you kill her, would the people come back to normal? That's entirely possible. But I think with that fight, they are very much setting up a Fubuki fight against her, obviously because of their clash before. But now the Blizzard group themselves actually have opponents to go against. And I think they'll struggle because obviously they've got these super suits. But at the same time, I think the fight, I hope it's a good fight, and even if Fubuki starts to lose, I'm sure this Tatsumaki will come back up and just go poof, and just blast them away. So then we go to the two ninjas, and I really like this part because we actually get to see them spar, and the action in this is really good, and we start to see some of their monster forms. I can't remember their name. I think I know one's Hellfire, and I think one's Galewind. I think I'm not wrong on that sense. But in any case, they're having this fight in this area of the Monster Association, and they slowly turn into their monster forms, and we still don't fully know what they are, because we can guess Galewind, he has he's got some kind of leopard form, because he gets spots and, like, I think he grows a little fur, so kind of like a Rob Lucci kind of thing, which I think is cool. Also, one of my two favourite panels is in this fight when they're on the water and it's that super thin line, but you can see their reflection. I just thought that was really cool. He's doing a lot of like shadows and dark art at the moment, Murata is, and I really like it. It's really good. And I still can't make out Hellfire's. Like he just grows like a lot of veins, so maybe he just comes like a bulked out version of himself or something, and they're having this whole conversation while this fight's going on, and they're like, you know, the only one we need to worry about is Flashy Flash, which of course speaks quite a bit about Flashy Flash's skill, because as I said before, I recently read chapter 13, volume 13 of One Punch Man, and that's when Flashy Flash has his fight against the octopus, and he's really powerful then. But the fact is, they have gone toe to toe with Sonic, and they're like, yeah, he's still nothing to worry about, but Flashy Flash is the one to worry about, which says a lot about Flash's skill. But then they start talking about some of the other opponents that there are, like, you know, none of the other heroes are true heroes, which is what a lot of martial artists see them as. Like, a lot of martial artists see pro heroes as not real warriors, apart from people like Bang, Atomic Samurai, and there are a couple of others there, mainly like top S-class and top A-class heroes, but most of them are still looked down on quite a bit by obviously the martial artists, the swordsmen, and now the ninjas too. And I just thought that was really interesting when, like, oh, they also have robots, and they also have people with psychic abilities. And they're like, no robot will ever match our speed. And apparently Genos isn't going, which I'll get into more in a bit, but I would love it if Genos actually got a fight against these two, and they're looking down on him, and he just uses Accelerate. And he has, like, this really amazing fight against them. And they also talk about the use of ESP, and, like, well, we'll cut them down before they can use any of their tricks. That's why I would also love if Tatsumaki went against them and she's just like, get out of here. Bam! And she just instantly KOs them. I think they're building up to more of a fight between this, and I'd love it if Flashy Flash got to fight them, or Genos, or Tatsumaki. If Tatsumaki got it, that'd be very funny. I think this fight was really cool. It was interesting seeing some ninja techniques. I think he was using fire. Yes! He was! Just that whole bit of them running on the water, and I think I'm definitely more interested to learn about the ninja techniques, because they all seem to have, like, their unique abilities, because they're all different graduates. So, like, obviously Sonic is really fast, like, obviously he breaks the sound barrier, but, like, Hellfire seems to, like, have fire techniques, and Galewind, I'm guessing, can use the wind, and Flashy Flash, if he was one of the, if he was, like, one of the best ninjas, he's considered the best, then what's his kind of thing? Is it like light speed? Is that his thing? I mean, we know he's amazingly fast, but I don't know what other abilities he could have. But yes, I'm very excited to learn more about those guys, eventually. I don't know if we'll learn it through the Monster Association, but I hope whenever we get to a more detailed arc about Sonic and Flashy Flash, that's when we'll learn some stuff too. Day 3. Let's try this again. So, the next monster we see, I don't know his name. Either his name is Trueblood of the Nosferatu clan. I wasn't sure whether his name was saying, whether he was saying his name was Trueblood or Nosferatu, because he says either, I think he says I am a Trueblood of the Nosferatu clan, or his name is Trueblood of the Nosferatu clan. In any case, it's a vampire, and in comparison to the other monsters, apparently this guy is one of the original monsters, like Deep Sea King or Sky King or the Moleman. You know, they were all original monsters, and apparently he is one as well. And we don't know this for certain, because if he becomes, like, for example, obviously people transform based on their desires and what they want, so he might be blinded by these monsters and be like, oh, the only real monsters are the original monsters, like mummies and vampires and werewolves, things like that. So if he transformed from one of those, if he transformed from a human to a monster because of that, that would make sense. And his whole viewpoint on all of the monsters is quite interesting, because he works for them, but his goal is basically to take them out because he sees them as beneath him still, which is weird considering, like, you know, Orochi's strength is so up there, and of course the commanders, what I'm going to speak about in a bit, but still, he must recognise that skill gap between them. Like, he's probably biding his time for this moment to strike, and because he, like he says, I am above all of them. Like, you know, these aren't true monsters, I am the real monster. And yeah. And I suppose that's it really for him, but I suppose it's going to be interesting to see how he interacts with people in the future, because he might have because the thing is with One Punch Man, it's either super interesting or super funny, so like they might be like, oh okay, so this is how it happens, and this is like his interactions with different characters, yada yada yada, or he might just get bopped instantly. It could go any way, because like they could have just, it was like the other time when they explained Saitama and how he came so strong, and they could just go, it's just him, but they actually went into detail with it, so it could go any way. And I like that. Yes. And then we see this other guy called Devil Longhair. He's weird. He speaks in riddles. Well, I say riddles, like, basically he speaks in not tongues. Basically, he speaks he's got a complex way of speaking, and he's like poetry, I suppose. Like he's talking about all these different things, and we learn that he became he became a monster because he cared for his hair so much. That was his obsession, of course. So maybe there's some kind of maybe like he's got like hair powers, basically. Yeah, like hair powers, like Combo Infinity. I think that's probably what he's got. And I do like this setup quite a bit for most of these, because it's basically showing us who the main fighters we need to watch out for are in the Monster Association arc. Because there's going to be lots of little monsters, but then we've got the big monsters here too. Then we go on to Royal Ripper, who's escorting Tario. Meets the giant lizard. Maybe he's going to be important, but we don't learn his name, so maybe he's just fodder. And Machine God actually shows up and kind of saves the kid. So the organization's a tricky one to talk about because I want to do a video about it at some point, but I am holding off just in case there's any more information about it. So he saves the kid, and he also, he saves Tario. But then he's also got Metal Knight's helmet. There's got to be some connection, obviously, to Bofoi in this and Metal Knight. And I think Engine Knight or Drive Knight as well. I just need to make a video to talk more about him and the organisation. I'm going to leave it a couple chapters, see if we find anything out. And then if we do, or we don't, I'll probably make a video talking about the organisation, my ideas and thoughts and bits like that. In any case, that was quite interesting. And of course, this kind of this kind of scares Tario even more because he's like... And this is all going towards Tario's development as a character, kind of what Goro advised him with, because basically Goro said, no one's going to save you, you've got to stand up for yourself and save yourself. And I think this is kind of trying to reinforce to him, like, of course I think he's going to be saved, of course, but this is going to be his real reinforcement of, him growing and standing up for himself for a change. So when, of course, we have characters like Metal Knight being defeated, and he knows Metal Bat's been defeated as well. And just this whole interaction with not Agoni's kid, I can't remember his name. I'll have to look it up, give me a moment. Okay, so because as I was going through it, I completely forgot about the whole prisoner bit with Lord Nyan, or General Nyan. In any case, the cat monster that got all the prisoners out and turned them into monsters, they all really want to fight Puri Puri Prisoner to get their revenge on him for making their prison lives hell. And Lord Nyan, who is pretty interested, like that panel with his eyes wide, like the cat is like, go ahead, go nuts. And I think this whole bit, they're kind of looking down on Puri Puri Prisoner. Like, sure, he may be, like, it's kind of like, when I think it was Benpatsu, when he attacked Snake, he's like, you're the lowest of the A ranks, and he's like, yeah, but I'm still an A rank hero. And so obviously, and then Snake destroyed him. I hope it's something along those lines, like, we're gonna destroy Puri Puri Prisoner, and Puri Puri Prisoner's gone in with this new resolve, and obviously ever since his loss against the Deep Sea King, he's changed a bit, and with everything, like, even the prison guards are like, we never want you to escape, but just this once, we're going to allow it. I think that could be interesting to see how this happens, and I hope he just really quickly just takes them all out. That's what I want from Puri Puri Prisoner. Like, I hope these guys are fodder to S-class heroes. Like, they're not on their level. Like, these are, just from their designs, there's no one who really stands out. They're probably about Tiger level. Maybe a demon, but probably low-level demon if it was. And then like I said, so the Tario stuff. His character development. I should have probably read that. So, Tario ends up in the cell with Wagamma, who is the son of Wagamma, yes. The one who obviously got kidnapped during when Metal Bat was fighting Goro. And to put it simply, Wagamma's just a little shit, isn't he? Like, this whole interaction, do you think that they'd be working together, right? Humanity's got to stick together in these kind of situations, and they need to work hard and stick, help each other out. And Wagamma straight away, like, they start talking, and then they're like, oh, well, my dad's a executive for the Hero, so, well, he's top ranking in the Hero Association, so S-Class Heroes. Before even that, and this really annoyed me, was when they're talking their first meeting, like, I'm Tario, I'm Wagamma, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, oh, have you got any food to eat? He's like, and Tario very nicely, he's just like, I've got this hard candy if you want it. I only have the one, but you can have it if you want. Just with even out saying thank you or please, just eats it. And he's like, is that all you got? He's like, I'm sorry, that was it. And he's like, you're useless, aren't you? You little shit! He didn't have to give you that. He didn't have to do any of that for you. He said that out of the goodness of his heart. He was like, well, I've got this if you'd like it. He didn't need to do that for you. And then just the icing on the cake is this whole, my dad's top of the Hero Association, so S-Class Heroes are sure to save us. So, if you want, they can save you too. And he's like, oh yes, please, that would be great. He's like, thanks. Well, you're my subordinate from now on. He's like, and then Tario's like, what? And it's when Wagamma was like, yeah, sure, just give all your food to me and your water, and I can save you. You want to be saved, don't you? Of course, I'm top priority, but you should be saved too. You little shit. You little shit. And I think this is all coming into Tario's moment that he'll shine as a character, is when he stands up for himself, when obviously you got this whole thing with Sludge Jellyfish talking to him about the heroes. I'll go into that in a minute. But I think in total, it's safe to say, words! Tario's going to grow by, I don't think he's going to stand up to Wagamma, but I think someone's going to go to kill them, and Tario's going to stand up for Wagamma and be more heroic, and I think, obviously he can't beat this monster, but maybe they'll actually wound him a little or distract him so he can escape, and then that monster will be chasing him, whoever it is, and then that monster, is going to kill them, and then Garo will show up and save Tario and be like, "You've earned my respect, kid, well done." Something along those lines would be cool. If it was anyone, it'd either be Royal Ripper or Sludge, probably Royal Ripper, because he's the one who's expressed the most interest in torturing and killing people. So that's probably who then will get the Garo Royal Ripper rematch. So yeah, Sludge Jellyfish comes along, and he's like, "Oh, you're all gonna die," because, as he explains, we know the S-Class heroes are insanely strong, but there are opponents that are above them, which is kind of true, because there are executives of the Monster Association who we have heard about, and they are at the level of Dragon. And we see some of them. So we see that guy from before, this very simple drawn guy. He is incredibly powerful, as is shown. He is Dragon level, and he is, we don't see him actually, but he's got this like dark aura around him. I want to know what he could do, because he's probably a nightmare. And as it tends to go One Punch Man, if you're drawn very simply, you are very powerful. And then we see the other ones, and I liked all their designs because it's all different and weird. I suppose also, like, so you had that one who looked like a wolf dragon thing. I want to see more of him. I think he's going to be stereotypical monster. But then there are some really varying designs. So we had that tank of water with eyes and fish in it. I want to know more about that. Maybe it's some kind of acid monster, or maybe it's just a water monster. And maybe it takes a form when it comes out of the tank, and maybe that's the eyes are his actual eyes. And then there was there was that ugly guy as well, who was just reading porn. I think, yeah. And to be Dragon level threat, it's up there. That was a king kind of person, not as in king, but like someone wearing a crown and a robe. And of course we see that guy again. We don't know his name. Simple McGee. We'll call him Simple McGee for now. And yes, so I'm very excited to see those guys, Dragon level threats. I really hope there's just like a smash cut, but a nice touch actually now that I think about it was the comparison between the strong panel, because last year, well, back in the Super Fight tournament, when Tsururi was fighting against Snake, and he's like, "We're the strong," and it had him, Tatsumaki, Garo, and Saitama. And it was kind of like a mirror of that, so maybe in that kind of sense, you know, I think obviously, What's-His-Face is the strongest, Simple McGee is the strongest, but until we see otherwise, up there as well, it has to at least be, the ugly McGee. Yes. And then, of course, we've got people like Gyoro and Orochi who are apparently above them. I never thought Gyoro was as strong as them, but recently, this is why you support the official release, basically he's talking about Tornado, and he says, "Perhaps I should face her." If he feels confident enough to take on Tatsumaki, focus! That says a lot about his power. And of course we've got Orochi above that, so if I had to put some kind of power scaling so far, it would probably go, Orochi, Gyoro, Simple McGee, Ugly McGee, and then the rest of the various, I can't put obviously an actual point on the rest of the monster executives. And then I'd say just below them is Lord Nyan, only because he was there, but he wasn't as heavily featured. Like, he only had a small panel. So maybe, like, he's somewhere in between Demon and Dragon level. Maybe he's Demon Plus. Because obviously Boros was Dragon, that exists because Boros was considered Dragon Plus by One and Murata. So I think maybe Lord Nyan is a Demon Plus threat. I think that's fair to say. Right then. Oh, there were more. Was Goketsu Demon or Dragon? I think Goketsu was Dragon. And so was Elder Centipede. Okay, yep, just thinking. Because I just want a smash cut between this panel, like, the strong, and everyone's like, "Oh no, look at them." Just to, like, I hope there's just a panel of those guys lying dead at Saitama's feet, and he's just like, just some more monsters, I guess. That would be funny. And then we go to Garo, because Garo's okay, and at first, like, to be fair, the first thing he's worried about is Toro's like, "Is the kid okay? I don't know where he is, whatever," and he's trying to remember, everything that happened, and he remembers pretty clearly Royal Ripper and Sludge Jellyfish and Bug God, and that panel of Garo where he's standing up and kind of the steam's coming off him, I suppose, or like it's fighting Goro. It's just his aura, really. That was good. Yes, that was really good. That was my other favourite panel of this chapter. And also something to note interesting is Goro can't take off his shirt now, and I think that is a good symbol of his monster transformation, because when I think back to someone like Chose, when Chose transformed to a monster, he had his sweater on, and when he transformed, that sweater became his skin basically, and changed and that became his design. So I think it's possible that Goro is slowly becoming this monster form because he he can't take off his jacket anymore. Well, not his jacket, his shirt anymore. So yes, and then that panel of the stare down, I'm ready for Garo to roll up to the Monster Association. At first, I thought he wasn't going to show up for a little bit, and he'd show up kind of like halfway in the battle, and he still can, but it's just because the next chapter, I haven't read it, I want to make clear, I haven't read it, but it's called Because I'm a Monster, so I'm curious to see how he's going to deal with that. And then we go to the Hero Association, and they are some idiots. Let me read that. So then, the Hero Association starts off with Child Emperor, and Child Emperor is basically using his doggy digger, I love the name of it by the way, to track down the Monster Association whereabouts, almost. So that's their way of saying, just like the Monster Association know the fight's coming soon, the Hero Association also know the fight's coming soon, so hopefully in the next chapter or two, we should be starting the whole raid on the Monster Association, which I'm very much looking forward to. And eventually, we see Second Girl has the mic. Yep, the mic. Oh, if I recorded all this today, the mic wasn't on. We eventually see Second Girl, and Second Girl has a little talk with Child Emperor, and it's really important because it kind of just shows us who is going to be at the fight, who's going to be at the association, who's going to be on the raid, basically, out of the S-Class heroes. And first of all, the ones that we know aren't going to be there, just to make it clear, are Metal Knight, Metal Bats, Tank Top Master, and Drive Knight, because Drive Knight is obviously, like, his whereabouts are unknown, and Metal Bat and Tank Top Master are too injured to fight, and that makes perfect sense. I get why. I get it. It's fine. It's fine. And then the other two people who aren't there, who aren't going, are Metal Knight, who's already made it very clear that he isn't, and Watchdog Man. Now, I have mixed opinions of Watchdog Man not going to the fight, because, of course, like, the thing is, we need all the power we can get, especially after we find out that Genos and Bang aren't going there. But the fact is, Watchdog Man is an incredibly powerful fighter, you know? He's very simple in design, so that tends to imply, of course, that he's got the power. But, of course, even Goro himself has acknowledged how powerful Watchdog Man was. He described him as a beast of a fighter. You know, his hands, like, he fights like he's an animal. And that says a lot when Goro's willing to go, you know what, this guy is extremely tough. And I think it just you got him to show up to the association before for the prophecy meeting. So, and I get it, you know, anyways, I should probably say why I get it, because I keep going on. If it all goes pear-shaped, at least we need some forces on reserve just in case. Of course it wouldn't, because obviously we have Saitama, but it makes sense from a Hero Association perspective, you know, if he can't come, at least he's there on the back lines in case there's any kind of surprise attacks. Watchdog Man can go deal with them and wipe him out. Which is true, but if this is the God level threat, it's probably not, because I feel like we've probably found that out by now, but if it is the God level threat, from their perspective, you want to send in every person you've got. And Watchdog Man, you need to go, Watchdog Man, we respect your decisions, but we need you on the front lines. Because if this is the God level threat, and from their perspective, humanity is doomed, and we need everyone we can get to fight it. It's that simple. And then they start talking about the rest, and by the rest I mean King, Bang, and Genos. And they go on to say, oh, well, we haven't managed to get in touch with them, but we're sure to use them. And Child Emperor goes, hang on a second. He basically says, to put it simply, he goes, I don't think we should use either Genos or Bang in this fight. And when I reacted to this, I was not happy. I kind of understand bits, but still. Let me explain. So first of all, he talks about Genos, because from the time Genos has joined the Hero Association and to current day, it's only been a month. And that seems weird, I suppose, because of how long the series has been going on for, but it has only been a month in the time of One Punch Man. So, and he's like, well, Genos is in Z City. He hasn't had any kind of recognizable achievements, and you know, his whereabouts were known, his past is unknown, and the last thing we need is a traitor towards the Monster Association. And whilst I am annoyed with this, I at least understand it. You know, it's only early on, and they don't know a lot about Genos still, so there's a chance he could be a traitor. However, obviously this was an anime-only scene, really. I don't think it wasn't as touched on in the manga, but they did quite extensive background research on Genos before this, right? So I can't take that too seriously. However, you would think he would have betrayed you by now if, I mean, just look at some of the feats he's done. Like, sure, maybe not as recognizable achievements as, like, defeating monsters and bits like that, but heroic feats of protecting humanity, such as in the super fight, when Saitama was off fighting, Genos was off bopping him like a Terminator, just going bum 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 bum, just going from city to city, taking down monsters left and right, until he literally couldn't fight anymore. And then, of course, they don't know the results of the Elder Centipede fight, but they don't know how hard Genos worked to hold off Elder Centipede. But of course, also, you think the eyewitnesses of Deep Sea King might have spoken up and be like, hang on, of course they don't know this at this point, but do you think they take it more into account when, you know, he literally gave up his chance to fight to save that little girl? You know, he's shown heroic feats in the past, and I get it, you know, if he's all playing an act, then you can't really risk it, but still, just try and recognise Genos' abilities. But, like I said, I can still at least understand Genos. But the way they describe Bang, to me, is out of order. Well, out of order's too strong, but at the very least, you know, Bang has been, so they describe it, you know, oh well, he let Goro go, and he was, you know, and that's a sign of weakness, and Goro's associated with the monsters, so he's a monster, and if he's letting monsters survive, we can't let that kind of thing go on. No, you are idiot, child emperor, you're genius, but you're still a child, and you don't get it. Bang I don't know how long Bang has been with the association with, but we could assume, as S-Class rank 3, not only is he highly respected, he's got the feats to prove that he's ready to fight, but he's also got but basically, you know, he's probably been there for quite a bit at the same time. I can't imagine, like, him showing up the month before. We don't know exactly how long it is, and it might be that, but, like, he doesn't give that same argument as he did with Genos. You know? And Bang's defeated a lot of monsters, and he earns the respect of a lot of the members of the association. Even Tatsumaki, who's quite like, I could do it all, I'm on by myself. So when, I only say this because when Saitama when Saitama came off the ship after fighting Boros, and then she smashed Genos and she was going after Saitama, Bang was like, don't do this, Tornado, we don't need this kind of reputation. And then she just kind of flies off, and I imagine she must respect him to a certain degree, right? But when they're saying like, oh no, he can't be useful, and they're like, okay, Silverfang isn't on there. Here's how you deal with that. So there's a couple things. I'm just baffled as to why they're like using that as the excuse. Really? If you did your research, you know he didn't let him get away on purpose. Sure, it's only been like a day, like 12 hours or so, since the fight against Elder Centipede even. But they'll know that Bang didn't let him get away. He got away because of Elder Centipede, an opponent that they couldn't beat, and they held off Elder Centipede. And he's fought against countless monsters and got this countless reputation. So if they were worried about him fighting, about him being betrayed, about him betraying the monster... I'm just a bit annoyed that Bang is being treated like this by the Hero Association. Because if he's worried about them betraying them for the Monster Association, finally got the words out, then all they need to do is kind of send him in with someone who can take care of him. So from the from the Hero Association's perspective, you have to send in either, you really want to partner him up with either King, Tatsumaki, or Atomic Samurai. Reason for those is simple. Tatsumaki could probably take down Bang fairly quickly, or at least restrain him. From the Hero Association perspective, King is the strongest man in the world, and if it was the same situation, if push comes to shove, he can just deal with him. And then lastly, we have Atomic Samurai, who is like really good friends with Bang, and if anyone was going to talk some sense into him or hold him off, it's going to be one of the greatest swordsmen in the world, you know? Yeah, their trust in one another is great, so I think, yes, I think they were being a bit stupid there, but like, oh yeah, we'll still send in King. Their judgment is ridiculous. Chi-Chi, I think it was Shichi, I think that's his name, has the right idea, and he's like, you're not sending in these guys? And he's like, and then him and Second Girl have a little confrontation. He's like, we need all the help we can get. This could be a top priority. This could be the God prophecy. And Second Girl eventually speaks to him and is like, well, here's the thing, we're actually going to replace these S-class heroes with a bunch of A to C-class heroes who can potentially help out. And Shichi's like, you're going to send in pawns just to die. That's not a good thing to do. Now, whilst they are handpicking these A to C class heroes, I want to quickly say, they would be damn fools not to send Saitama. Now, Saitama, of course, could just not respond. So, for example, say they go to call on him in the morning, and he's off because he's already like, I'm going to go home for Garo. I'm thinking of the words. I've got the words in my head, just trying to think of how to put it. So they would be fools not to send Saitama, because either they would lose out on a possibly really scummy hero, or they could potentially discover the truth about Saitama. The only reason I say this is because obviously he's got a public reputation of being a scumbag, like, you know, taking credit for other heroes' work when in fact he's the one who's doing all the work. So if they sent him in and they want to use them as pawns and sacrifices, that would not be too much of a loss compared to their apparently braver heroes that they've got. But if it is Saitama, if they did send in Saitama and like, hang on, well, let's see what he's got, then they could learn the truth about his abilities and how, you know, he is actually as strong as the reports say he is, at least that strong, if not millions of times stronger. And yeah, I don't think they will though, because obviously they're going to try and keep Saitama out of it for as long as they can. So I think that's interesting, but they are fools. You know, you can send a lot of quantity, but you can't necessarily replace the quality of the S-class heroes. And you know, Shichi's really sticking up for him at this point. He's like, you know, the whole point is to save lives, and you're sacrificing lives. And then Second Girl's like, well, remember the hostage. You know, we've got to save the kid, and it's all to save the kid, really. And I get it. It's like to do with the funding to support the Hero Association. But guess what? You want to have better quality heroes, but there's no hero. If there's no heroes there, you can't get those better quality heroes because you're sacrificing them all. And then it was just this whole bit of Second Girl and Shichi just talking about this God level prophecy, and he's like, well, if this is the God level prophecy, then we've got nothing to worry about, we'll be fine. But if it is the God level prophecy, you want to send in everyone you can, like I said before. And Second Girl goes, don't even think about contacting Demon Cyborg and Silverfang. He's gotta, like, I think it's going to go pear-shaped at some point, and obviously Saitama will be the last to show up, but then there's even more reinforcements with Silverfang and Demon Cyborg coming in to save the day. And hopefully that'll have them in. That will give them enough faith in the future for this kind of thing. Because the Hero Association just words. They're just being idiots because they're not sending in powerful people to help deal with the powerful monsters. And I get it, but you've got to have faith in King, because if apparently King can take on Dragon class threats, then you know, at least send him in with the possible traitor of Genos, because then they can deal with it. Of course, he's not a traitor, and we know King isn't strong, but still. I don't know what to say, but it's just, we need to make this right. We'll see how this plays out. I'm sure it'll play out just fine. And then we go on to the actual hot pot scene, which was quite funny to think that the strongest minds and like the strongest people in the world, some of the greatest minds in the world, were all just gathered around this. And it was filled with lots of little funny moments. Most of it was probably just, for me, just Saitama going, can you all go home? You've ruined my meal. You know, you've ate all the cabbage I went for. You know, and you wasted my time, you wasted your own time kind of thing. Get out of here. And just like the interactions, King immediately just gets blasted back, and by the end of this chapter, they think he's dead. I swear, if this is what keeps him out of the raid, and this screws them over, that is quite funny. That will be very good, if that's what keeps him out of the raid. Oh dear. Yeah, but it was sort of lots of little great moments. Genos especially shined in this chapter with his interaction with Dr. Kuseno and Fubuki. So when Fubuki went to use the psychic powers to grab the meat that got thrown in the air, and he was like, what are you doing? Like, you know, you taking my master's meat, like that. And, you know, they start having this interaction, like, are you truly happy here? And then Kuseno's like, it's so great to see you have friends you get along with this well, Genos. It does my heart proud. I've never seen this side of you. And Genos goes, Sensei, like, Dr. Kuseno, I am not her friend. She is not my friend at all. It's just great. And then he's like, oh, are you not? He's like, no, I despise this woman. And Just filled with lots of great moments. Like, you got Bang, like, Saitama, how do you deal with disciples? I just struggle. Like, apparently, you know, I've led them the wrong way, and I'd love your opinion on this. And he's like, I don't know, I don't have a clue. He's just trying to eat his food. And then when Bang earlier as well, he's just like, oh, everyone, just get out of the way. We need to all work together and share. It's not a problem. Meanwhile, he's just stealing all the tofu that flied in the air. Who I believe couldn't believe the way Fubuki spoke about Bomb. She's like, I get why these people are here, but why is an old man like you doing, like, what's an old man like you doing here? Blah, 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 blah. And then that moment as well when Saitama's like, everybody, get out of here, I don't want you here. And then she's like, yeah, everyone get out of here, we don't need you. And then he's like, I'm talking to you as well, I mean everyone. It's just a very funny moment. It was good. And I think it actually symbolises kind of potential for growth. Like, this is their little gang of friends now. And like they don't get on that well, but I'd like to see a similar bit at the end of the series with maybe they have to hot pot, or maybe it's that crazy again, and maybe obviously we'll have more people join. But I think it was just a nice symbolism of, you know, Saitama kind of growing as a person, I suppose, and actually having connections with people. Not necessarily connections he enjoys, but connections. At the very least, he's getting some emotion out of that, mostly annoyance and being disgruntled. And then King is probably going to be kept out of the fight for a bit now. I'm sorry it took so long to get this review out, guys. It took me 3 days to film this because of getting the time to film it. I'm late on everything. Thank you for watching, though. I hope you liked this review. If you did, give it a like, subscribe if you'd like to see more, and comment down below to talk about this chapter, or chapter 90, I understand. I'll probably read chapter 90 I'll read before this comes out in any case. That was a lot. I didn't find a good point to break it into 2 parts. I'm sorry, I'm like 4 reviews behind on My Hero Academia. I need to catch up on that. Positivity. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll try and get this next review out. I'll get this one out, and chapter 90 should hopefully be out a couple of days after that. I hope you have a good day, and I'll see you when I see you. Cool. Thanks, guys. Laters. Yeah.